me introduce to you, brothers and sisters, the first speaker for this evening for talk number 7 about the Christian family. So this brother of ours was dedicated in 2008. So he's been serving in the community for a whole decade already. And he is a man of faith, a man of leadership, a man that has the passion to serve the church and to serve the community. So he's been married also for 19 years, so about 2 decades, right? And he is blessed with 2 beautiful children, Lara and Anya, 16-year-old and 12-year-old. And he is one of the household head here in the Fresno area. So brothers and sisters, let me introduce to you an awesome speaker, Brother Benji!
What a pressure, huh? Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, okay. So, how are you tonight? Our Katie, Yvonne, and Christina. So, it's not easy. It's not easy to be a Christian. It's not easy to be a serving, but it doesn't mean that it's not the will of the God to be here. So tonight I was, time and time again, now I'm assigned to share to you talk number 7, the Christian family. Actually, the objective here, you can find it, but it's a practical, the objective is a practical discussion about Christian family. So, the family is as an institution is under attack from many fronts. So marriage are being broken, and even the traditional definition of families is being challenged. So of course, in other countries, even right here, unfortunately, divorce and same-sex marriage is already legal. Instead of Adam and Eve, it's Adam and Steve. And then, of course, abortion is also legal in some. So we want to face up this attack, and we want to come up with the families, our families intact, and of course, even more stronger. We also want to prevent breaking up of the families, and also we want to make our marriage more resilient. So for this, we need to put on God's mind, and also we want to follow His plan for the family and to make our marriage work. It is essential, first things first, that we fully understand what our marriage is all about, and of course, we need to know God's purpose in marriage. So, Christian family is maintained by a community of believers like this one. So our family is not as different as yours. So, broken homes, live-in, abortion, same-sex marriage, unwanted children, contraception, divorce. So unfortunately in America, divorce is really very high percentage. We easily give up. It's so funny that you've been together for a year and you didn't figure out that you are not compatible to each other. You share everything and even get naked to each other, and you cannot even say to each other that there's something wrong. And then because you lose your butterfly in your stomachs and you concluded right away that you are not, it doesn't work. And you merry-go-round like Hollywood. And then until you weren't able to forgive, that you end up keep marrying, and it's becoming sadder at the longer. So in the beginning, that is what God wants us. In Genesis chapter 1:27, God created us in His own image and likeness. It was mentioned earlier about the Trinity. Thank you, Brother Ferdy. There is only one God, but He is composed of 3 co-equal persons: God the Father, God the Son and God the Holy Spirit. All three are equally God, but that three that equally God only make one God, not three. So if you allow me an example of the pretzels, there's three holes. One, the next hole, two, the next hole, three, but it becomes one pretzels. So what I'm saying is our marriage should mirror the Trinity that God wants us to do. God intended man and woman to be one, not independent individuals producing babies, but husband and wife raising family. God created male and female with their physiology so form as to enable man to increase and multiply and fill the earth. God said go and multiply, but most of us, a lot of people lately, they will multiply and go. So that is not what God intended to. So, as I mentioned earlier, we need to put God on mind on what His plan for our marriage and follow up His plan for our family. And like each and every one of us, all of us here as a family, we are all saved by grace. A community or church without crying babies is a church without crying is a church that is dying. A ministry like this without baby making a happy sound is a ministry that's dying. So it's okay, Christina. Don't worry about it. We are all serving here. So God's plan for the family, God intended family for the transmission of life. So Christian family, that is really, God created an environment for all of us. First, of course, God created this environment. And of course, we learn Christian family we learn what we've learned from one of three places. First, the family that we grow up in. Of course, if our family is messed up, we are in trouble. When you said your family is miserable, it's not miserable plates, it's not miserable cups and saucers or refrigerator, it's the person living in it that's miserable. So don't expect to correct Fresno or council or Fresno government or the government if you don't correct the family. It all starts in the family. So, yeah, that's why when ladies, for example, walk view of a man, because they walk view of their dad. So they view their dad, they have a dad in their picture in their life, so they know what kind of person they're trying to live with. But some of the ladies, for example, have a walk view of God because of the bad view of, walk away from God because of the bad view of their father. So, sorry, back. So since parents have conferred life on their children, so they have a most solemn obligation to educate their offspring. Hence, parents must be acknowledged as the first and foremost educator of their children. Their role as educator is to decisively that scarcely anything that compensates for their failure in it. So earlier, we learned Christian family from the family that we grow up in. Second is we learn from friends that they taught us what we ought to know. And it's so funny, sometimes I heard way back, a friend of mine, our neighbor, when they were still young, the other guys making fun of him because he needs to go home because his wife is calling him to go home because she's about to deliver. And the people said, like, why you need to go home when she wants you to go home? You are the head of the family. You know, those kind of idea that it's so chauvinistic in a sense. Or if guy is driving and with his son and they saw a girl walking in the hallway or in the side street, and the dad will say, son, you're gonna have a piece of that someday. That's sad, right? Or if two kids running together, boys and girls, when both of them trip off, who you gonna pick up first, the boy or the girl?
The girl.
Usually the girl, but they are the same kids. And then after past 5 p.m., you want to call your daughter because it's already late. But how about Kuya? How about my brother? It's okay. Just you see the discrepancy of how we treat boys and girls. Even in the library, there's only few books for men. It's all for women. Right? So, but anyhow, that's how we learn also Christian families. The third one, media. There was a time in the media, you remember, that the media reaffirmed the family. It gives a basic value, unguardedly, supported, inspired it, encouraging family life. That is not true anymore. There's not so much out there that will give us a true picture of the right family picture. So it's more on convenience. It's more on like that. It's unfortunately it's not doing that. Actually, the media is causing too much information that is misleading about to have a family. Family is a place for teaching children and training leaders. Parents have the first responsibility for the education of their children. They bear witness to this responsibility first by creating home where tenderness, forgiveness, respect, fidelity, and disinterested service are the rule. There's so much no that they heard our kids until they're growing up with. Let's try to minimize that one. That keep saying no to your children until even in this ministry, we keep saying no to this, no to that. What we wear now is the way we are brought up with. So, we said that do unto others what others do unto you. That is a golden rule, but it's not always the case. Because even if we are doing this, we are doing something, our role, whatever it is, I always said that some people lose themselves along the process. Let's not forget our human side of it. When we deal with our kids, we don't put your wit on them, but you need to show them what we believe. Sometimes they even ignore you. We thought that they are not listening, but they are. We cannot give something which we don't have. For this, probably they are bored with this, but in reality, they are just watching us doing that. So the family is a place to transmit wisdom and values of life. Teaching is not formal, but rather comes the everyday activities. So round table, right? It's not the pizza, but the round table is the place of opportunity that we gather together as a family and we talk about the teaching moments, how they are doing at school. You share dinner together and you eat together. So it's time to check, use that opportunity to talk each other as a family. Family is a domestic church. Yeah, Christian family is maintained by a community of believers. And if you allow me, in Psalm 128 verse 4 to 5 is about, behold, so will the man who fears the Lord. May the Lord bless you in the mount of Zion. Zion actually is a place. It's a God's place. It was in Jerusalem. It is the place where the Father will bring his family to worship God. So in today's world, it is the church of the living God, our church. So we need to always bring them because it's important. It means that if we family that prays together, right, it stays together. It means this is the God. It's the family that has this God-centered family who gathered with God's people to be affirmed and reaffirm of the things of God, like what we are doing now. Maybe we're supposed to be not here and doing something, but again, it doesn't mean it's not the will of God to be here. So, if we are serious to have a long-term family, we really need to be equally serious to lead your family in worship And that is why family is a domestic church. This place is our small church right now that will help us get to know more about what we believe. The family of transmission life. Okay. So, of course, the family, like the church, ought to be a place where the gospel is transmitted and from which the gospel radiates. In a family which is conscious of this mission, all the members evangelize and are evangelized. We rather evangelize than fossilize. You know, again, in church, we go, how many years in church? They are start from nursery believer and becomes a senior citizen. It's still the same. It just becomes like a nursing home, but their faith stays the same. So lucky for us that we've been called for, that we are growing in the church. But also the church is the place that to harden your hearts. Because if you think that there's a lot of hypocrites if you want to see a lot of hypocrites, you go to the church. Because that is what we're supposed to. We are not perfect. No one is worthy, but it's about God's mercy. That's why we go to church, because we ask for help. We ask God's help to save us. So our expectation, following God and being in this ministry is not means that we are exempted with cancer, exempted from problems, challenges. So, from the St. John Paul II Apostolic Exhortation, it means that this is how Pope John Paul II communicate, especially from the post-synod bishops, when he said, this is like a snapshot of it. The fundamental task of the family is to serve life, to actualize in history the original blessing of the Creator, that of transmitting by procreation the divine image from person to person. So, yes, again, we are here to procreate, men and women, where our marriage should reflect or mirror the Holy Trinity, and that is really what God's plan for us. And obviously in Psalm 128 again, verse 3, it's obviously, if you allow me to find that one for a while, Psalm 128. Verse 3, your wife is like, verse 3 is like an abundant vine on the side of the house. You see, it's emphasized here that God is obviously focusing on the man. I don't apologize that one, but it's focusing obviously on the man, that God starts with the man. Your wife is like an abundant vine on the sides of your house. A man is responsible for setting up the tone by which his family function. Of course, Satan is after the man. Of course, if not that, also for the woman, but he just know that if we could get men, if he could get out men out of the picture, or he knows if he could keep men from being responsible, being a baby maker, being a good daddy, so he attacks family. So that's the very wife helps assisting, but of course it's it's our job to lead them to worship. Wife has responsibility too as well, but as obviously it doesn't start there. Of course, women complete men. I know it's fuming up when you hear that as women subject your wife, subject it to your husbands and everything like that. So parents must be acknowledged as the first and foremost educators of the children. I mentioned that one earlier. The family is a place to transmit wisdom and values of life. Wisdom, knowledge is just limited in the classroom, but the wisdom that we learn from God, from what He wants us to know, is really unlimited. Parents, our fathers, our priests, and their families, the present God to their They present God to their families by teaching the scriptures. We are not really expert in the scriptures, but you will just be surprised that if you try seeking God's word and try to be near to Him, He will really show you the way. They present their families to God by family prayer, blessing the children. The family, like the church, ought to be a place where the gospel is transmitted and from which the gospel radiates. You will notice lately when you go to the Mass, it makes more sense now listening to the gospel rather than just having like our own bucket list of check that, oh, it's Sunday, it's time to go to church. And then when we leave God in the church. It's like you know Trump, but does it Trump knows you? So sometimes we are just making our own God, our own convenience, that we go to church and leave God there. But the big challenges is when you get out of the church door and start making yourself as a good witness for the Lord. Why God's plan is not happening? So why is that? Why God? Because God has lost His central place in the family. Parents no longer bring up their children in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. They look more and more to psychology as a source of wisdom for raising their children. As I've said earlier, a round table is a really great place to do a family rearing, nurturing around the table. You eat together, you pray together. When you ask your kid, how's school, dad? How's your school, anak? They say, it's good, dad. You know, don't just settle with just good. You try to ask what's really going on at school, and then we also need to pray for them. Even our kids will say, bless you, daddy, bless you, mommy. So, husband and wives do not follow God's order for them. That is one also the reason. There is confusion of roles. Their commitment is shaky. They cannot be depended on, and the partners become insecure. So, yeah, that's why. That's a problem why why the plan of God is not happening. And stress on materialism. I know we like to shop, right? But we also want warranty, right? So, of course, if we have problem, we can return items here because there's warranty, right? So, God is the one, the designer and the author of a family. So, when that happens, when you have problem, you return it to God. You return to Him and ask God to fix it. Because He is the author of the family and no one else. And family itself is losing importance because the responsibility is taken over by others, like social media. Easy availability of modern recreation. Just throw up the tablet or the iPhone or something. It's a good thing the tablet, they cannot swallow it, right? Because it's too big and it's clear. I remember one of the kids, 8 years old, went to our pediatrician and the doctor said in Bisaya, na, Mrs., makainom ba ng tableta itong anak nyo? Is your child can take tablet because the child has a big tonsils. And that child start screaming and crying. Right? Because imagine the child thinking that the doctor will let him swallow the whole tablet. Anyway, easy availability of modern recreation and traditional family has become dispensable. If the parents are never with the kids, don't expect the kids to grow up. So lucky for us, we've grown up already. It means because of the loving nurturing of our parents. We have a generation of children today who being nurtured by somebody other than their parents. Nobody should raise your kid but you. Parents, if you are not home, don't blame your spouse that you have nothing to have to cling to. If you love your career more than you love your home, then it would be your fault, our fault, if our home fails. And there's husband and wife do not fall. There's too much importance given to acquiring material possession and having an easy and comfortable life. So yeah, we have a horsepower, house power, big houses. I remember back in the Philippines that a friend of mine is an architect, but she's a Christian, and her client is complaining because there's a big crack on the wall. You know, in the Philippines it always rain, and there is, you know, you put masonry and concrete, and then of course she's not the one who built the house, but you know, she was just being contacted to. It's kind of arrogant customer, and then of course she went there. And she's been asked to fix it. So she did not end up fixing it, but the owner is keep on complaining. So somebody came, not her, so fixed the crack. It just lasted for a few days. It cracks again. So that of course the owner paid. So he called again the guy. I don't know. Hopefully that guy is not a crack. Fixed the crack again and lasted for 45 days. And after that it cracks again. So finally they have a talk. Of course the owner is kind of frustrated. And then he said that the guy who is fixing it, actually it's not the crack that is the problem, sir. What's the problem? It's you. What? It's you. It's your foundation of this house is the problem, because the house is moving. So that's why it keeps on cracking. So hopefully we are in a good foundation as well. So the family itself is losing its importance, obviously. Pace of modern life has become fast. Yeah, the days are too fast lately. I don't know if it's just the Earth's rotation. Before, I believe because we are too busy doing a lot of things when we are still younger, the days longer. But I don't believe so. The days is really faster. So a family is under attack by evil. Of course, families created by God, we are tested every day. We are tempted every day as a family. So sometimes success can be a temptation as well. Earning a living is taking a big chunk of time of the fathers, and oftentimes of mother as well, leaving little time for the family. So I think we are all guilty with that one sometimes. The devil wants to break up the family and promotes many things to undermine the family, such as secularism. You know, taking God out of educational system and government, materialism, relativism, communism. So anti-life forces have become very aggressive. The culture of death has crept into many societies through the promotion of abortion and contraception. So, oh, sorry again. Anyway, I'm sorry, brother, for me. So what can we do? So make a decision that in your family you want God's plan to happen. Thank you. You want God? Thank you. Yeah, build a strong family. Apart from God, without help, we cannot do it. It's too much. Right? For me, I got a lot of PMS at home. Papa must suffer. Even our dog is a girl. So I thought it's just a joke. It's real. It's really real. Oh yeah.
I believe you, bro.
But it's comforting to know that I'm not the only one. So what can we do? But no, we love them. It's you know, things happen for a reason, and it's really nice to have a community that to look forward to. Make time for the task of building strong family. Examine your daily life to ensure that your family has enough quality time together. You can check that one by opening your checkbook. You will see how much time you're spending together. You can look at it in your checkbook. Then plan regular family recreation, vacation, and other activities. Yeah, parang couples for Christ, right? Vacation, recreation, and other activities. Pray together as a family. Attend Holy Mass together. Pray the Rosary as a family. Pray over your children. And pray for healing of family members. intercede for each other's needs. Fathers should take steps to assume full responsibility for the spiritual and material need of the family. So fathers should assume the role of priest, provider, and protector. Wives should support their husband and not take over their roles. All of us become sons and daughters, but not all of us become moms. That's why you need to understand why your mama. Yeah, because now moms or our wife, they are everything. That is the hardest job in the world. She can be a wife, she can be a cashier, cook, engineer, or anything, mother, teacher, housekeeper. And that's why and they keep talking about problems of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. They are like hysterical or historical. But
Superwoman.
yeah, superwoman. But actually, because guys, we have bottom line attitude. We thought that every problem there's a solution right away, and we are so disappointed and stressed because we want to. Where do we start? We need to solve problem right now, and because we are deaf, that I'm still guilty with that one. Because what women want is to just listen. We don't listen. Right, Brother Richard? Yeah, what's the problem right away? Like, yeah, I admit it's still happening right now. Anyway, but you see, we are Christian families like you and me. But the difference is we have, without if and buts about it, we have a solid foundation of our Christian family. So learn more about God's plan in your family, attend teaching of Christian marriage and family life. We have marriage encounter retreat coming. Read Christian books and magazine, or even listen to the radio or TV. Use that. Use Facebook to evangelize. Social media. Seek other couples who share concern about family life and be in regular fellowship with them. This is what you can look forward to in the CFC community. Provide support and formation for the families. We read that one, learn more about that vision in your family. So visions, usually our visions are perfect, but do not forget that we are imperfect learners along the way. Wag masyado tayong perfectionists of everything that we do. Do not lose the human side of it, of how we deal with each other as brothers and sisters. We are like big families. We fight sometimes, but because of the grace of God, it's so easy to be corrected. It's so easy to say sorry. And you learn a lot. Sometimes it's so easy to ask for forgiveness, but to give forgiveness sometimes it's really hard. So conclusion. The Holy Family of Nazareth is our model. Yay, conclusion. Though God's mysterious design, it was in that family that the Son of God spent long years of hidden life. It is therefore the prototype of example for all Christian families. Again, God is the designer of Christian families, and we thank God for our parents that we are here. So again, God is the author and the designer. So He's the manufacturer of that one. That's why if we have problems, let's go back to Him and ask for help. So to recap my Christian family talk, so allow me to read Psalm 128 verse 3 to 5. Your wife is like an abundant vine on the sides of your house. Again, it started with a vine. So what is a vine? What can you say about vine? It's always clean, right? Right? So it would hold whatever is attached to and cling to it. And his wife should, our wife should able to cling on to us. So that's why, again, it's the men who take the initial tone of how the family functions. And then, when it clings, vine also climb. Yeah, it spread out, then she grows, right? Listen guys, right? The vine, when it clings in the small portion part of the room, if the wife had something to cling on to, they start to grow and spread the whole wall, and the vine climbs out. That's why men should create an environment of growth. So that's why they develop women strength and abilities. So if you have a stunted wife and your wife is not growing, not height, not emotionally, and if your wife has no better next year than what she was this year, or your wife is not loving next year as she was this year, and there's something problem not in your wife but in the man, because that's what the verse said. Your wife is like an abundant vine on the side of your house. It's emphasized about men. So the wife should have something to cling to, and we don't shake them off, and then we learn to support them, and then because of that they will grow. So, and then lastly, vine, there's like a clusters, like a grapes clusters. When the grape starts popping up this summer, the group of grapes, when you crush them, it becomes juice, and when you settle it, it becomes wine. And then, of course, when you drink wine, what will happen for guys? It feels good, right? It makes you happy, fulfilled man, successful. So, if we have a happy wife, that the wife can have something to cling to and to climb with, and then you can see that we are really happy guys, because wife make us drink of all of her love to us. So that's one verse. Second is, your sons are like young olive trees surrounding your table. Have you seen olive trees here? Yes. So olive trees grows out in rocky soil. It grows 15 years. It takes 15 years to mature, and have to be nurtured and used for a lot of things, from oil, what else? Liniment or lotion, something like that. It produces oil, and after that 15 years, when the olive tree matures, it produces oil for 40 years. So that's why husband needs to provide a nurturing environment to our children. It says here, your sons are like young olive trees surrounding your table. So you need to utilize the table, the dining table, to nurture your kids. So again, don't expect the kids to grow up if we are not around, if parents are not there. And so behold again, the last verse, behold, so will the man be blessed who fears the Lord. May the Lord bless you from Zion, and may you see good things of Jerusalem. Again, Zion is the place where the husband, the father, will bring his family to worship. So that's start bringing our families in the church. So again, in case of a wife that complete us, in case of a children, it is their attachment to the house that produce the environment. So wife, if you are not at home, don't blame your husband for yet nothing to have to cling to. Because if you love your career more than your love home, then it would be really a form of, you are inviting failures. Don't get me wrong, we are not blaming women, but this one is adapted only also for men, that if we forsake our home just for the marketplace and for whatever, we just let our child to the wayside and stop clinging and start nurturing our family, then we're gonna lose it. So a Christian family is a gift, and That's why the only reason, as the end story of this Christian family, is I cannot love my wife because she's only my second love. My first love is God, because she knows that I can love her more if I love God first. And then that is, I love my children. So then afterward, we start learning how to love each other as brothers and sisters. So now, ending that, I will call my lovely wife to share something, a brief sharing about Christian family. She's still kind of anxious. So let's give her a round of applause. Dito, mami. Yes. Don't worry, don't stress. Naka-video tayo.
Lalo ko ma-stress. Anyway, hi, good evening. This is it. Bear with me, and whatever I'm just gonna say, it's for the Lord, so I'm gonna share. Well, our family is not different with other families. We have two kids, and age 16 and 12, and raising teenagers is really stressful most of the time. Yeah, but with the grace of God, we're able to get through it day by day. And I just want to share about my parents, because last 2016 I petitioned them and they came here last 2016, and just to experience what we experience here in America, to know our life here, but never thought that they're gonna be sick. Although I know my mom was sick, diagnosed with cancer 2013, but never thought that she's gonna be very sick here. Just few months that they came here, my mom had the symptoms of headache and ended up in the hospital, because she was okay already for 4 years. She was already okay, because actually I planned to petition him way back 2013, but she was diagnosed, and so I said, okay, it's not time yet, so just stay in the Philippines and get through all the treatment, and when you're okay, then I will continue the application. So now they're here. Then just few months later, they got here. She was very sick and admitted, and then went through chemo again. And then also my father, that never thought that he's sick with this condition, because he only have this lung problem, and then ended up admitted in the hospital. But yeah, open heart surgery. But with the grace of God, and because we, as a family, Christian family, and being involved in the CFC, Couples for Christ, we developed the pattern of praying, and it's in the covenant at least to pray 15 minutes a day, and when you have problems, your prayer is longer because you want something, you want answer to your prayers. Lo and behold, my mother, it's been a year now, It's been a year since she had that chemotherapy. She was okay, but then recently again, there was her symptoms came back again, and then but still we are thankful, and then we praise God that her problem, her symptoms before and now is not related to her cancer, and it's a different thing, which is good thing because it's not cancer and it's treatable more. So why I'm sharing this because as a Christian family, we developed the pattern of praying, and we encourage we encourage each other to pray and to remind each other. Me, Benji, I'm sorry. I'm just overwhelmed with God's goodness.
Yeah, because to continue, okay, to continue.
This is my problem, and that's why I don't want to share, because I get overwhelmed with my emotion and ended up crying, but which is supposed to be not that, but
Yeah,
I mean because of we developed the prayer, developed the pattern of praying, and we encourage each other, we remind each other to pray, and good thing Benji is is a leader, and we have this house of prayer meeting every week, every Friday, and with the help of our brothers and sisters in the community, they help us pray also to overcome our situation. So, and I encourage also my kids to always pray, to remind them to always pray, because it's really a big help, and God is really so good.
Yeah, to add on to that, because my mother-in-law's been diagnosed with breast cancer, but 2016-17, she was diagnosed again, only started with headache, as what Babe said, but with her permission, she was diagnosed that there is a spread in the spinal fluid. So it's really hard to treat, the doctor said. So she's been hospitalized last year for a month, but we don't know where we get the grace. We still continue what we do. And the doctor said that her mom should last for 6 months only, and it's no more than 6 months. See how God is so good. And then of course we are kind of worried because she's just taking chemo, no more intrathecal chemotherapy. But again, her symptoms coming back again. But of course we start doing it again, the MRI, the CT scan. But the doctor said they cannot find anything on the cerebrospinal fluid. So you see, that is, God is so real. What Bates is telling you guys, that we try to share, if we develop the pattern of prayer and relationship, we just don't use prayer as for emergency purposes only. When we are always calling God for better, for enjoyment, for not only for happy moments, good days and bad days, you feel that God is so close to us. We don't expect this to always like this, of course, but if you keep the relationship with the Father, and it saves you time. It's so humbling to know that God is there. And Mom, my mother-in-law, just celebrated birthday yesterday. She's 67 and she is up and about. She's not going to chemo yet. But the doctor said they can't find anything. They don't want to jump over like that right away. So just do an MRI.
Yeah.
So what we are doing is not about us. It's about God's grace that we want to share to you. So yun lang po. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I mean, despite of what's happening and what happened to my mother and my father is okay now. Although, with the heart disease, we don't know what's gonna happen next, but despite of all the challenges, all the worries or whatever is gonna happen next. We found peace. Found peace, and there's peace and joy that no matter what happened, God is always with us to help us.
Thank you.